Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today we're back at it with another standard deck tech straight out of Tarkir Dragonstorm. And this one's a doozy. This is one that I've been just trying to get just right for a while now, and I finally cracked it. This one is called the Hive. We're going 𝑀𝑎𝑟𝑑𝑢, and we're going Mobilize, but we're also using Cori-Steel Cutter. And it's absolutely insane in this deck. I don't think I've seen anybody try to utilize both Mobilize and Cori-Steel Cutter, which I think is probably the best card, definitely in the top 3 cards to come out of Tarkir Dragonstorm. But using both those things in the same deck, I haven't seen anyone try to do it, and I think we cracked the code to making the perfect deck to utilize all of that. And it's absolutely wild. And it sort of revolves around 12 ridiculous draw payoffs that almost act like ancestral recalls. I'm gonna have to break down the deck so you guys can see everything that's happening, but this deck is absolutely nuts. Before we do, please like the video. It helps me get it out to so many more people and helps the channel grow. Also subscribe if you're new, because I have a ton of crazy deck techs on the way, and catch me live Monday through Friday over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/QuarantineCapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. I have been recovering from being sick. I'm mostly recovered. I am going to cough a couple of times in this deck tech breakdown though, so I apologize in advance for that. Let's break down the deck. So this is the Hive, and it's honestly kind of insane. The idea was to try to take some of the synergies between the new Mobilize mechanic and one of the best cards in Tarkir Dragonstorm, Cori-Steel Cutter, and just combine them into the same deck, and I think we pulled it off with one hell of a deck here, guys. Honestly, it's kind of bananas. So Cori-Steel Cutter, 2 mana artifact equipment, gives equipped creature +1/+1, has trample and haste, equips for 2 mana. None of that really matters. It has a flurry ability, so when you cast your second spell each turn, you make a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess, and then you get to attach this equipment to it for free automatically if you want to. So the idea is we're trying to trigger this flurry every single turn so that we're constantly just spitting out dudes, and those are dudes that can get bigger and bigger and bigger with each non-creature spell that we play. But what's important to note is that we don't have to play non-creature spells to trigger the flurry. We can trigger it by playing 2 creatures if we want, which means we can play all of our Mobilize dudes and still make it work with the Cori-Steel Cutter. So we've got Stadium Headliner, 1 mana 1/1 with Mobilize 1. It's going to make a token that's attacking in every single time it attacks, but then that token needs to be sacrificed at the end of our turn. You can also pay 2 mana and sacrifice the Stadium Headliner to do damage to any creature that you want equal to the number of creatures that you have on the battlefield. You have to be careful when you use this ability though, because when you do sacrifice it, it's already going to be gone when it resolves, so it will not count itself as a creature, so be careful about that. But being able to spit out a guy every single turn that then just sacrifices itself every single turn has a ton of upsides that I don't think have been utilized to their full extent quite yet in the decks we've seen with Mobilize so far. In addition, we're using the other best Mobilize card, Voice of Victory. 1 white and 1 for a 1/3 with Mobilize 2, so it'll spit out 2 attacking tokens every single turn that it attacks, and also has this cool static ability: your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Why are we spitting out all of these tokens that need to be sacrificed at end of turn, and why are we constantly trying to make as many tokens as we can with Cori-Steel Cutter? Because the entire deck revolves around those tokens. We are running 2 copies of Elas il-Kor, so every single one of those tokens that enters play is going to gain us life, but more importantly, all of those Mobilize tokens, when they sacrifice themselves, are going to ping our opponent for a damage, and if our opponent tries to kill any of our Cori-Steel Cutter tokens, the same thing is going to happen. But we go way deeper than just Elas il-Kor when it comes to taking advantage of both the Cori-Steel Cutter tokens and the Mobilize tokens in some pretty crazy ways. We're running 8 copies of 1-drop cards that let us basically sacrifice our creature to draw 2 cards. So we have 4 Corrupted Conviction, which is sort of the old school staple version of that card. 1 black mana for an instant, as an additional cost, sacrifice a creature, and we draw 2 cards. So because we're constantly making creatures that are going to die anyway with Mobilize, we're not really having to actually sacrifice anything. This is almost Ancestral Recall in this deck, which is just kind of absurd, since we're just going to lose those tokens anyway. But we can also just use it to sacrifice something that our opponent targets with removal if we're going to lose that anyway as well. So Corrupted Conviction ends up being just insanely good in this deck, and because it's only 1 mana, it also goes the distance and helps us trigger our Cori-Steel Cutter, makes us be able to cast those, double spells every single turn, so we can just keep spitting out the tokens. In addition, we've got copies 5 through 8 essentially of Corrupted Conviction in a new card called Desperate Measures. 1 black for an instant. The difference with this one is we don't sacrifice a creature. Instead, we give a creature +1/-1 until end of turn, and then when that creature dies, we get to draw 2 cards. So if we use this on one of our Mobilize tokens, like we're trying to do with Corrupted Conviction, it's really no different than Corrupted Conviction. We're still killing the thing and drawing 2 cards, and we're still getting to trigger our Flurry with 1 mana spells, which is super important, while drawing into even more gas to keep triggering, those Flurry abilities over and over every single turn. But there's also some utility in Desperate Measures, where if we absolutely need to, we can use it to kill one of our opponent's creatures. We just don't get to draw cards if we do that, because the creature has to die under our control in order for us to draw 2 cards. But still, having that versatility is nice, even though most of the time we're not going to give up the draw in order to kill something. Sometimes we might, like maybe a Deep Cavern Bat or something like that that steals a Corrupted Conviction from us, or something along those lines. Also, we can use this as extra pump to be a combat trick if we're going to lose our thing anyway, but using the Desperate Measures on it makes it have just enough power to also kill their thing, and we get to draw the 2 cards. That can be kind of nuts. And if we would be attacking and getting them to just 1 life, we can just use this to close out the game too and do that extra point of damage. So there's a lot of versatility in Desperate Measures that I think does make it better in a lot of ways than Corrupted Conviction. That being said, the one thing we can't do with this is prevent our opponent from lifelinking and gaining life. With the Corrupted Conviction, we can sometimes block with a token, or if they block our attacking token, or any attacking creature really with something with lifelink, we can sacrifice the thing that's in combat with their lifelinker so that they don't get to gain any life, and maybe we kill them when otherwise we wouldn't be able to. So there is a little bit of nuance into which of these you should use in what circumstances. So keep that in mind, but most of the time I think the Desperate Measures is a bit more versatile, but having 8 cards that for 1 mana will draw us 2 cards at pretty much no downside, because this deck is just spitting out tokens left and right, is kind of insane. Our board gets absolutely crazy, and because we have so much card draw, our hand is almost always full. We have Cori-Steel Cutters on the board, and even if our opponent wipes, it doesn't matter because we're able to come back from that wipe so easily because of all the card draw, and because of the Cori-Steel Cutters still sitting there waiting to be triggered again, and just keep it going. It gets absolutely absurd. We've also got 4 copies of 𝑚𝑎𝑟𝑑𝑢 as another 1 mana instant speed spell that can help us trigger our Cori-Steel Cutter with the Flurry. But 𝑚𝑚𝑟𝑑𝑢 is nice in a lot of different ways. It's another thing that lets us incidentally kill stuff like Deep Cavern Bat or anything that has 1 toughness. But it can also just make a token at instant speed. Sometimes that matters, just having enough tokens going wide, or if we have to make sure we can attack the next turn, we can make a token at the end of their turn so that it comes in without summoning sickness and we can swing immediately when we untap. So there is versatility to having 𝑚𝑚𝑟𝑑𝑢 in this, but just being able to make a token creature at instant speed, potentially get rid of a threat that has 1 toughness, and work as a 1 mana thing that triggers our Cori-Steel Cutter, 𝑚𝑚𝑟𝑑𝑢 is absolutely awesome in this deck. In addition to the 4 stadium headliners, which are the #1 thing we want to try to play on turn 1, we've also got 4 copies of Nesting Bot, because when we do sacrifice it, or if it dies in combat, we just get another token to replace it, so it adds to our synergies, but it also has Start Your Engines, and under certain circumstances, it can be a 2/1 for 1, that will also trade with something with 2 toughness, or get in for a couple of extra points of damage before it finally dies and gives us that token. So I think Nesting Bot is the other, like, kind of secondary choice of a turn 1 play next to the Stadium Headliner. And then as a 9th 1-drop that we want to be playing on turn 1, I have 1 copy of Basri, Tomorrow's Champion. I don't think it's as good as the other cards because we're trying to just fill the board up as quickly as possible, and Basri can only make a token every other turn because of the Exert, but he does still give us a way to spit out multiple tokens over a course of the game for only 1-drop creature. So as our, 9th thing to keep our numbers consistent for having a turn 1 play, I like running 1 copy of Basri. Moving on to the 2-drop slots, we've already talked about some of the most important cards, the Cori-Steel Cutters, the Voice of Victories, just spitting out tokens non-stop, and we've got those 2 Elas il-Kors that'll help us capitalize on that even deeper. But we're running 4 Case of the Stashed Skeleton, because we have so many ways to sacrifice our tokens and that we want to sacrifice our tokens to, that sometimes just getting in for a little bit of extra damage early with a couple swings and then sacrificing the skeleton to one of our card draw spells is just enough value that our opponent can never recover. Not only are we drawing a bunch of cards, we got ahead a little bit on damage, but then we also solve the case and we get to tutor up anything we need. There are a couple one-ofs in this deck specifically because they can be really good tutor targets in just the right circumstances. But Case of the Stashed Skeleton, just absolutely nuts in this deck, just giving us so much value when combined with our sacrifice stuff. And speaking of our sacrifice stuff, we're running a card that everyone has forgotten about and that is absolutely insane in this deck, and that's 4 copies of Treacherous Greed. 3 mana for an instant, you draw 3 cards, and you drain 3 life from the opponent. So it's basically a Lightning Helix and an Ancestral Recall for a total of 3 mana, which would cost as much as a Lightning Helix and an Ancestral Recall if you played them separately, except you'd be spending 2 cards, whereas this you're only getting rid of 1 card. So in the right circumstances, this card can be absolutely insane. The problem is that as an additional cost to cast it, you have to sacrifice a creature that specifically dealt damage this turn, which is normally kinda hard to pull off. But in this deck, it's not a problem. We go so wide with so many creatures that we don't really mind if they die. It's really easy to get through with something, usually a Mobilize token, and then just sack it to the Treacherous Greed, refill our hand even more, especially in conjunction with the other 8 card draw spells, and drain our opponent out for 3 life and get them even closer to death. There's just... excuse me. I'm still recovering from being a little bit sick, but there are just a million ways to capitalize. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. There are just a million ways to capitalize on sacrificing in this deck, and it's absolutely absurd. The cards that we draw off of Treacherous Greed, a lot of times we draw into even more Corrupted Convictions or Desperate Measures, which can draw us into even more cards, which draw us into even more Treacherous Greeds, and it just creates this crazy loop, this crazy cycle, where we just keep going wide, just keep drawing cards, never run out of cards in our hand even if they sweep our board, never run out of having an insane amount of creatures on the board no matter what. We just keep it coming, and it gets absolutely absurd. We also have 1 copy of Lagomos. This is something we can tutor up with the Case of the Stashed Skeleton in the right circumstances. Lagomos is going to spit out a 2/1 red elemental with haste and trample every single turn that can swing in and then dies at end of turn. It's sort of like a precursor to Mobilize in a lot of ways. But what's cool about Lagomos is if 5 or more creatures die in a single turn, you can tap him to search your library for anything. You literally just tap him to be a tutor. So if you get to the point where you have a huge board and it's going to be really easy for things to die every turn, especially if you have multiple Mobilize guys out and those tokens are dying no matter what, tutoring up your Lagomos so that you can tutor every single turn can be absolutely bananas. In addition, we have 1 copy of Anim Pakal, because in the right circumstance, having an Anim Pakal out also adds an insane amount to your board presence. It's going to just spit out even more 1/1s over and over and over, build up counters, just allow you to go absolutely ham with all of your sacrifice payoffs. That being said, we don't want to go too crazy on the 3 drops. We want to keep everything as low to the ground as possible and as cheap as possible. Most of the cards in this deck are just 2 drops or 1 drops. because we want to make sure we're triggering that flurry as often as possible, and we just keep the cycle going, we keep drawing, we keep playing things, and we don't want to get slowed down too much. So having one Lagomos, one Anim Pakal that we can search out, but those 4 copies of Treacherous Greed, because they're worth just an insane amount in this deck, I think is where we want to be with 3 drops. The last card I want to talk about is a single Dollmaker's Shop. Now, I do think this card is good enough to run multiple copies of, as far as the Dollmaker's Shop is concerned, but there is sort of a lesser return on your investment when you get to the 2nd or 3rd copy, because you're not able to really make use of extra copies of Porcelain Gallery. So I did decide to just go with 1 on this and save the extra card slots for some of the other cards that are just as good in multiples as their first one, rather than the extra copies of Porcelain Gallery here. But you can tutor up the Dollmaker's Shop, play it for 2, start spitting out even more artifact creatures every single turn, and then eventually just turn on the Porcelain Gallery, and your entire board becomes absolutely huge, and you just alpha strike for the win. But I gotta say, guys, this deck is kind of insane and blew me away. It just never stops putting pressure on the opponent. It never stops spitting out tokens, drawing cards. It never runs out of a hand. It just keeps going and going and going. You have to see it in action to believe it. So I'm going to shut up. Let's check out the games. All right, this looks pretty good as an opening hand. Start with the Nesting Bot. Probably go Elas on 2. Could hold up Corrupted Conviction for card advantage, though, if we're worried about him having removal. I don't think he wastes removal on the Nesting Bot. So I think I'd rather just get Elas out there, hope that it survives the turn cycle, and then start doing our thing. Although we could wait until turn 3 to play him. He's got removal. He's just waiting to hit something better with it, like Elas. I'm just gonna end the turn. Let's see what he has to do. Deep Muck Desperado. Okay. Opponent mills 3 cards. Well, I guess we'll just do this. And then we'll go with Concealed Courtyard. Elas. 3. Do I even swing? Probably not, man. I think we just get everything out, pass a turn. Try to have a big turn next turn. Kind of flooding out a little bit, though. Didn't expect to draw into this many lands. Six lands in the top 12 cards. And we have many less lands in this deck than normal. But I guess we start by just swinging here. Elsbeth's Smite. Sure, mill me out. 3 damage. If a creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So we'll sack it. No exiling anything. Thank you. Now the question is, do we sack the Stadium Headliner to kill the Deeproot Desperado? Because we definitely could. see what he does. Let's wait for him to block it. We're only going to do 2 damage here, aren't we? Damn it. Yeah, there isn't really a way to do it. Like, Rat Out can give -1/-1, but then we don't have our 4th land. If we had played our 4th land and we had ratted out and then sacked the Stadium Headliner, we'd be able to kill the Deep Muck Desperado. Doesn't even necessarily make sense to sack the Headliner to the Desperate Measures. We will, though. Because no matter what, we're going to be able to sack something that's dying this turn to draw. But I guess if we draw, like, another card, like if we drew into another Desperate Measures or Corrupted Conviction, then it probably would have made sense. Do we want Dollmaker's Shop or Cori-Steel Cutter? I guess probably the Cutter is the best way to go right now. I just can't believe how flooded we are, though. Like, if we lose this game, it's literally because we have way too many freaking lands in our hand. Way too many. We can use the Dollmaker's Shop to trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter, which I really like. So we're going to play a Swamp. We're going to Dollmaker's Shop. We're going to Case of the Stashed Skeleton, trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter. We're almost able to make this work, but not quite. Which is unfortunate. He blocks this, it becomes a 3/3, that becomes a 3/4. And we are big sad. So we're just gonna pass. Just too many lands. That's literally it. If we had drawn into the average number of playable cards we should have drawn into by now, based on the breakdown of the deck, we'd be so far ahead. Not only would we have more gas, but we would have more versatility in choices of what to be playing. Alright, he's not going to attack. I guess we just gotta swing, right? Although we're really, really close to this Porcelain Gallery getting pretty wild. So maybe we don't. I mean, we want to draw. So I think we do anyway. Yeah. Elspeth's Smite. Well, we will Desperate Measures that, because we can. Oh, it counted as exile. We didn't get the draw. That's rough. That's really rough. That's really rough. Ugh. All this land, man. It's so bad. How many spells have I cast this turn? Just one. So I probably need to rat out. Just so I can make a token. It's kind of a bummer. Let's attach it to this one. That's a bummer. I was expecting to go a lot wider with creatures off of the card draw, so that Porcelain Gallery would be even more insane next turn. He's gonna sweep, right? Is that why he's attacking with 𝐶𝐵𝐻𝕬𝑳? No, just wants to draw. I mean, that's really risky. These can all become 4/4s with Porcelain Gallery. It might not be the priority depending on what we draw. Looks like we got a Desperate Measures. Actually, they're all going to be 5/5s now. So let's just do it. Sure, draw some cards. Gain some life. That's 21. Now he absolutely has to sweep the board. Right? He absolutely has to sweep the board. We've got a tutor, we've got card draw, we've got Cori-Steel Cutter to recover from it. So I'm not super concerned. I mean, sure. He's definitely sweeping, and that's why he's attacking, right? Okay, I guess he's just doing that. I mean, we still have lethal. Oh, he's playing another 𝐵𝑒𝑐𝑝. I guess that makes sense then. Oh, man. Trigger both of our Cori-Steel Cutters. He's about to scoop. We'll draw cards. Oh, man. Yeah, this just got really real. We got Treacherous Greed to close it out. He takes 6, goes to 5. We greed him down to 2. Sacrifice the skeleton so that we can solve the case. Spell Pierce! I mean, we do still get to solve the case, though. So we Cori-Steel Cutter, we search for something to play to trigger all 3 Cori-Steel Cutters. And then we go nuts. Doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter because of the cutters, man. Cutters are so crazy. He's dead. He's dead this turn. Unless he's got something crazy. We got 4 mana. Anim Pakal might be really good. Elas il-Kor could be really good, although he won't be there for when we make them. I think we're gonna go Anim Pakal. See if he's got a counterspell. What's cool is even if he counterspells, we still get the dudes off the Cori-Steel Cutters. Pop the mat token on the Anim Pakal so we get an extra counter. Keep the Treacherous Greed on top in case he's got interaction. Oh, baby. Good night. Good night. Alright. This looks fine. We're going to keep it. Looks good even. Hey, what's up, Ninja? Not for the most part, Monkey. I don't think so. The week has been exhausting, that's for sure. We're going to start with a nesting bot. Start our engines, get something onto the field. We'll probably just case the stash skeleton on 2. Then we'll start drawing, turning on tutors and all sorts of shenanigans. No removal. Now, sometimes it is right to get the Cori-Steel Cutter out early. I was thinking before you save it for turn 3, so it can be one of the spells that causes your double spell. You don't really lose any value. But sometimes, if you need to be able to double spell like 2 1-drops in order to trigger it, you might want to get it out early. That being said, I don't think we necessarily have to worry about it just yet. But Cori-Steel Cutter is super, super good in this deck because we're double spelling constantly with all the card draw. What's the siege? I don't think there is a siege in this deck. Oh, you're talking about adding a siege, Monkey. I got you. We're going to choose black. It's the most important color. We're going to go with Cori-Steel. And then there's a couple different things we could do here. I guess we'll do this first because we get to generate a token with the Cori-Steel Cutter. And we'll probably, for now, we'll just hit the nesting bot. Lightning Helix is it. Take action. We don't get to draw, unfortunately. But we still have a ton of board presence, so I don't know if it's going to matter. We've got Treacherous Greed next turn. We've got my dog snoring up a storm. Hey, Bandit. You gotta wake up, buddy. My mic's picking you up. Poor pupper's so tired. Ley Line Binding. Hits our Cori-Steel Cutter. See, but that's the beauty of it. We still get the creatures left behind, so we're still way ahead on tempo. In fact, I think it's just better to play Lagomos here. It could be a mistake because he could have something like Sunfall coming up. But what's cool is, even if he Sunfalls us, the case gets solved and turns on as a tutor, which is nice. So I'm not super concerned. I am super concerned about my dog snoring into my microphone like a goober. Alright, no Sunfall. He helixes the Lagomos, which is fine. I think we're just going to Treacherous Greed here. Sack the skeleton so that we can turn on our other friend, draw a whole bunch of cards, drain them out. We're super low on lands, and yet we're still doing as well as we're doing. Like, only drawing 3 lands in the top quarter of our deck is crazy. If we hadn't missed our land drops, this deck would be absolutely swimming in creatures right now. I still think we're going to win this game, though. We just have too much value. Come on, Sojournist. Alright. We definitely want to get the Cori-Steel Cutter out. Songcrafter Mage. What, Lightning Helix? Is he trying a Lightning Helix? I mean, he doesn't have... I guess he has the ℍ𝐭𝐴𝑘𝐳, right? Now, we could sacrifice whatever he targets right now so that he doesn't gain life. The problem is we don't get to turn on our Cori-Steel Cutter this turn if we do that. But I think it's probably still worth it. Staying way up on card advantage. Cori-Steel Cutter is still there for next turn. We'll get the Stadium Headliner out. No attacks. So we're just staying way up on card advantage in comparison to him. We finally have our 4th land. So we should be able to go off next turn. Another Cori-Steel Cutter. It's pretty wild. I think we want to double spell and still hold up a Corrupted Conviction. So we're going to Nesting Bot. And then we are going to attack. And let's see what our opponent does. It's going to block the 1/1. So we could rat out the Songcrafter Mage so that it dies. Or we could just Corrupted Conviction our Stadium Headliner. I think in this moment, it's probably better to do this. We trigger our Prowess. We do more damage. And now, even if he wipes our board, we still have the 2 Cori-Steel Cutters. We have a solved Case of the Stash Skeleton. We have a Treacherous Greed. Like, we just never run out of gas. Ever. Traxa. Doesn't even matter, bro. Doesn't even matter. Whatever he blocks with the Atraxa, we sacrifice to Corrupted Conviction. Although, it would be pretty sick if we could double spell prior to attacking. Unfortunately, we can't. We're just going to do this. Let's see what he blocks. Nope, nope, nope. We will sack that. You will gain no life. Take some damage. And then we will Treacherous Greed you for the win. Sacking the little rat. I could have sacked the Nesting Bot. Didn't need to. Good night, brilliant Sojournist. A 1-lander. Big surprise, mulligan. We gotta toss back a 2-drop. Since he's probably gonna have removal, I think Elas should go back. Alright, pass the turn, hold up the rat out. How desperately do we need to swing? Not desperately. Well, Inspiring Vantage will play out the case. If we can just draw a land next turn, we can Cori-Steel Cutter into one of these. And we're off to the races. If not, things are going to get a little trickier. Little bit trickier. The bat. Well, you have to take the rat out. What? Okay. We'll rat out the Deep Cavern Bat, but we don't need to do it yet. no idea why he didn't take the rat out. It's crazy. Maybe just to slow me down? Desperate measures. We will sack the 1/1. We'll go black. And we will Voice of Victory. So next turn we can Cori-Steel Cutter into rat out and swing for a massive amount of damage, which should be pretty good. Virtue of Persistence, that's fine. It only slows us down, my friend. Submit 0. If we had a second red source, we'd play the Stadium Headliner instead. Alright, puts you at 10. Now you're at 9. Pretty much dead next turn, man. Has to do that again? That's fine. We'll just keep spitting them out. Makes me sack my non-token. I mean, we can't double spell no matter what, so we might as well do this. Sack the rat. Force him to have to kill the skeleton. And even though we can't attack with it, we do still get to double spell here and make a token. And then we can still double spell and make a token next turn if we have to. So he's pretty much toast. Yeah. Alright, this looks fine. We'll keep it. Looks like we might be back in the good graces of the algorithm again. Let's jam the nesting bot. I guess we just get out the Voice of Victory. Next turn's a tricky decision, though. Lagomos is a good turn 3 play, but if we want to play it safe, we want to be able to hold up ways to sack creatures that he tries to target with his own removal. Hello. Mono blue, huh? Sleight of hand. Slate or slight? I think it's slight. Elas and holding up interaction might be the smart move here. So let's do that. It's going to gain us life. It's going to make him lose more life. He still loses 2 from the tokens with Elas to make up for the 2 he doesn't lose from the token that Lagomos makes hitting him. Let's do this. Because why not? Alright, go down to 13. Look at that, we have lands. I forgot what this felt like. Play a game and actually have lands. Incredible. Do we Cori-Steel Cutter? Or do we Lagomos? I think we just raise him. Like, super hard. Kinda has to block the Elas, right? Or he's in for a world of hurt. Okay. He leaves my voice of victory alive? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? This dude's insane. This guy's out of his gourd. Moment of truth, sure. We have to make a difficult decision. Do we double spell for Cori-Steel Cutter, or do we hold up Treacherous Greed? I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I think we're winning next turn. Farah's Dispersal. I mean, I guess we're double spelling then. Pretty sure we win. Pretty sure he's just dead. We will double spell. And you will be very sad. Yeah, mono blue is not fast enough anymore. No white. But that's okay. We can make it work. We're going to keep 7. And what we'll do is we'll probably rat out on his turn so that we have something to attack with. I guess attacking doesn't really do anything for us right now. So we'll hold off on that. We'll just get the Cori-Steel Cutter down. And this is one of those instances where it makes sense to just play it out on 2, because if we don't draw our 3rd land, we can still double spell with 2 1-drops and turn it on next turn. Whereas if we knew we had our 3rd land, we'd probably want to save this for turn 3, play it as the first spell, then play a 1-drop. Do we kill Amalia and lose 6? Nah, I don't think so. Let's get rid of the lifelink. And then let's Corrupted Conviction the rat to draw some cards, which will trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter. And then let's play a land, play a Nesting Bot to start our engines, and then swing in for 2 and go to speed 2. That seems pretty good. We should be able to double spell pretty much every single turn from this point moving forward. It should not be a problem. Shelter by Ghosts hits the Cori-Steel, that's fine. We'll end up killing this thing, one way or another. One way or another. No blocks, not yet. Ruin Lurkerbat, sure. Now the question is, how do we want to do this? We know we want this to die. I don't really know how we get there yet. Do we want a Treacherous Greed? Maybe? It might be better to get our creatures out before Treacherous Greeding, though. Well, either way, let's swing. Let's play the case. Oh, I should have played it first to get the prowess trigger. I'm a ding-dong. I'm a ding-dong. Alright, we're going to hold up Corrupted Conviction. What we're going to do is block with the Nesting Bot, and then sack our own Nesting Bot so that he doesn't gain life. Which honestly should be a pretty good play. Alright, so no life for you. We'll get a token back. We'll draw some cards. Everything looks beautiful. We'll start with Cori-Steel Cutter. Then we'll go Voice of Victory. Then we will swing with the team and hold up Rat Out. We've got some options with that card. We can either kill our own thing. He doesn't have a way to gain life, though. This doesn't have lifelink. Doesn't make sense to do that. We can make this a 3/2. Doesn't help. Alright. If he had gotten a little bit more ambitious and tried to block one of the 2-drops, it would make a lot more sense. Alright, we'll end the turn. He's down to 12. Deep Cavern Bat. There will be none of that, my friend. Goodbye, Deep Cavern Bat. He is looking to gain a decent amount of life with Malia. But I think we can attack for so much next turn that it doesn't even really matter. He could hit us for 8 if we don't block. I guess 12 if he attacks with the Tenacity too. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's actually game. We just couldn't get out in front of the life gain quick enough. This hand is rough. No white, and our only relevant early drops are white. I guess we could Rat Out, and then maybe we draw the white. We got a mulligan. No black. I think we can actually keep that, though. Toss back the Battlefield Forge. Actually, maybe we should have tossed back the Rat Out. Guarantee that we can Cori-Steel Cutter into Nesting Bot. So let's just bot on 1 instead. Bot on 1. Hey, there's a thing. Let's attack before he knows what we're gonna play. Otherwise, he probably just kills the Nesting Bot. Alright. Smash. Cori-Steel Cutter. What a card. What a card. Oh, we'll do another one. And then we'll go... Do we just Rat Out? I think we just Rat Out. Smash for 5. Opponent's got the Doll Maker's Shop, but no creature to trigger it with. Enduring Innocence. Well, we're gonna sack our rat, trigger our prowess, and hopefully draw something we can double spell with. Voice of Victory will do it. And we will smash with a whole bunch of dudes. Seems fine to me. We probably have lethal next turn. Because it's just that crazy. Beza. Too early for Sunfall. Do we Elas or do we Treacherous Greed? I think we save Elas for double spelling. Because we're clearly not going to be able to this game. So we will Treacherous Greed, sack a token. hopefully be able to cast something. Desperate Measures. Sack another token. Trigger our Cori-Steel Cutters. And then, I guess we just play a Concealed Courtyard and call it a day. We are gassing up. Elspeth. I think it's too little too late. I think it's too little too late, my friend. You needed a Sunfall, and even that wouldn't have saved you because of the cutters left behind. Yeah. It's over. It is over. With an AH. Hello. I can do this all day. Do you need to hear it again? There's a hole in your plan. Because I can do this all day. What a booger. What an absolute booger. He must be so proud of himself. You know? Showing off his Ugin avatar and roping his opponent when he gets salty and loses. That's what I want to be like. I want to be Diego when I grow up. The Ugin avatar collector titled salt roping mono white player. That is a goal. That is hashtag goals right there. Just to be this guy. Could you imagine being this guy? Could you imagine? I can imagine. I can, in fact, imagine. I can, in fact, imagine. Draw me some more cards. Trigger all my prowess. Thank you, sir. Give me all the good stuff. Oh. Oh, man. That's fine. I will smash you in the face, sir. I'll give you the good game. Oh, Diego. You sad, sad man. What do they call someone that lives in California after they finish a game with this guy? San Diego. San Diego. See ya. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.